CBS News has learned major oil companies will meet with the Trump administration this week to discuss Venezuela. And that will include representatives from Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and ExxonMobil. CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now to discuss this. Aaron, good morning to you once again. Tell us about this meeting and what it reveals about President Trump's intentions there in Venezuela.
Good morning, Errol. As you mentioned, those three major oil companies or executives, representatives from them, will meet with Energy Secretary Chris Wright and other Trump administration officials this Thursday to discuss Venezuela. Getting these oil companies to invest in an outdated and rebuilding the outdated infrastructure in Venezuela and tapping into those oil reserves is a crucial part of what the Trump administration wants to see in Venezuela to help rebuild the country economically, as well as benefit the U.S. and potentially lower gas prices here in America. Since most U.S. companies have been pushed out of the country since around 2007, when President Hugo Chavez renationalized oil production in Venezuela, you have not seen many U.S. oil companies at all kind of tap into those oil reserves, except for Chevron. And that's what the Trump administration is trying to restart now. Members of Congress, some of whom were briefed by top Trump administration officials, including the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Attorney General Pam Bondi, heard from them on their plans in Venezuela and have thoughts on how the administration should handle oil in the country. Take a listen to them here.
If you want to make it better, you should be saying as soon as possible, this is your country. We're going to let you make decisions on the oil. We aren't coming to take your oil. We aren't coming to tell you what to do.
Donald Trump is saying out loud that it's just about the oil. He just wants his rich oil industry friends, who he promised to help in exchange for a $1 billion contribution to his campaign, to have access to Venezuelan oil.
Now, these oil companies have not committed publicly to the sort of buildup that Trump has talked about so far, potentially due to the instability still with the Venezuelan government's concerns with, once they are in Venezuela, opposition from local groups and gangs. But the White House remains confident that they will invest. In a statement they sent to CBS, they said, quote, all of our oil companies are ready and willing to make big investments in Venezuela that will rebuild their oil infrastructure.
And while all this takes place, Aaron, President Trump is renewing calls, a sober and serious call for a takeover of Greenland. How is the White House justifying that?
This conversation seemed to restart in a way after Katie Miller, a former White House staffer herself and the wife of White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, posted on X kind of teasing Greenland as a U.S. territory. Now, Stephen Miller, in an interview with CNN yesterday, was asked if the U.S. could use military force to take over Greenland, and he didn't seem to answer that either way, but did say it's the formal position of the U.S. that Greenland should be part of the United States, and he questioned Denmark's control of Greenland as a territory. Here's more of Miller talking about that prospect of U.S. military force in Greenland.
The United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
We also have a joint statement from 7 European countries, including the president of Denmark, which owns Greenland as an autonomous territory. In that statement, they note that Greenland is part of NATO. Arctic security needs to be achieved, quote, collectively in partnership with the U.S. And this part, and is notable in particular, they say, quote, Greenland belongs to its people, and it is for Denmark and Greenland only to decide on matters concerning the two countries.
All right, Aaron Navarro with all the latest for us from the White House. Aaron, thank you.